All right, guys, if you will, go ahead and get your notebook paper ready. Go ahead and get it titled and dated. We are going to be ordering numbers today, so your notes should be titled Ordering Numbers. And then I already went ahead and put the first problem up there for you. So go ahead and get that written down in your notes. If you need to, pause the video, okay? All right, now that we have placed numbers on a number line, ordering numbers should be even easier for us because placing numbers on a number line is actually a little more difficult than ordering numbers because when you're placing them on a number line, you have to make sure you put them in the exact correct spot. Whereas ordering numbers, you just have to make sure that you put them in the correct order according to the quantity of them, whether they're bigger or smaller than the other numbers. The biggest thing that you have to pay attention to whenever you are working through these problems is what they want you to do. So in this problem, they want us to order the following from greatest to least. So I want all my big numbers first, go from biggest to smallest. Our process is the same here, okay? Step one is to evaluate or simplify. Okay, we need these all as decimals in order to be able to order them from greatest to least. Okay, so I'm going to just go through 1.6 feet is already a decimal. I need to take the square root of 2. Guys, remember, if it ends up being irrational, just write the first few digits down. 2.8 is already a decimal. 2 is already a whole number, so I need the square root of 5. I get 2.236. And then the square root of 7, I get 2.645. Okay? Obviously, these three go on and on and on, but I only need the first few numbers in order to evaluate it. Guys, whenever you are ordering these, you are still going to use the original values. So when you placed them on a number line, you had to use the original numbers. You have to do the same thing here. Okay, so I want my biggest number first. So I have a few different 2s. So I have 2.8, 2, 2.236, and 2.645. Okay, remember that when you are evaluating, you look to the first digit that is not the same. Okay, so on these 4, they all start with a 2. So I can't look at that 2 when I compare them. I have to look at the 10th place. Okay, they all have different numbers in the 10th place. That's the number we end up having to look at when we're ordering these. So the biggest number out of those is going to be 8. So 2.8 feet would be first. I always like to mark through them as I go. Then 6 is going to be my next biggest, which is going to be the square root of 7 feet. Make sure you write it down as the original. 2 is going to be bigger than 0, so the square root of 5 feet would be next. That means 2 feet would be next. And then I have 1.6 or I have 1.4. Okay, hopefully you know that 6 is bigger than 4, so 1.6 feet would be next, which leaves the square root of 2 feet at the end. So this is my final answer. Those are ordered from the biggest to the smallest. You have to use the original values in there. All right, let's look at another one. Order the values from least to greatest. So the first thing you always want to take note of is how they want you to order them. So we need the smallest numbers first. So we're going to evaluate these. So let's evaluate the value of pi. So we get 3.141. Square root of 11, we get 3.316. 3.4 and 3.1 are already decimals, but I'm going to go ahead and write those down again. So these all start with the number 3 in the ones place. So I can't look at that number when I'm comparing them, okay? So then when I look to the next number, I have a 1, a 3, a 4, and another 1, okay? Since I want the smallest, it's going to be one of the number ones. So when I look at pi, I have 3.141, and when I look down here at the end, I have 3.1. Remember that if I wanted to put another digit behind that 1, it's going to be a 0. I could write as many zeros as I wanted in order to fill that up. So then I'm going to look at the 4, and I'm going to look at the 0. Well, which one is smaller, 0 or 4? Hopefully you know that 0 is smaller. So the value of 3.1 is going to be my smallest number. That means pi would be next. And then my other two digits, I either have a 3 or I have a 4. Hopefully you know that 3 is smaller than 4. So I get the square root 11 and then 3.4 at the end. Guys, remember, just because a number has more digits doesn't necessarily make it bigger or smaller. You have to look at the actual values and what the numbers are telling us. Okay, so look to the first digit that those values don't have the same. All right, let's look at this one. So the first thing I always take note of is that they want them from greatest to least, okay? So I'm going to go through real quick and evaluate these. I advise that you go ahead and pause your video, get these written down, and go ahead and evaluate them and try and order them so that you can see if you're right. Square root of 9 is 3. 5 divided by 3, I get 1.66 repeating. Negative square root of 17, I get negative 4.123. Negative 17 divided by 4, I get negative 4.25. Square root of 3, I get 1.732. And negative 1.7 is already a decimal. So I want the biggest number. So I should know that all of my positives are going to come first whenever they want the biggest number, the greatest number first. So with my positive numbers, I have 3, I have 5/3, I have square root of 3. So out of those, 3 is going to be bigger than both of those other numbers, so square root of 9 is going to be first. And then on these, I have to look to the second digit to decide which one's bigger. Hopefully you know 1.7 is going to be bigger than 1.6. So square root of 3 is next. And then 5/3. Now I want the greater value when it comes to the negative numbers. Remember, the closer it is to 0 on the number line, the bigger the value. So negative 4.1, negative 4.2, and negative 1.7. So negative 1.7 is going to be bigger because it's closer to 0 on the number line. Another way you can think about it is it's the opposite of positive numbers. So on these last two, if I had negative 4.1 and negative 4.2, 2 normally is going to be bigger than 1. But since it's negative, it's the opposite. So the 1's going to be bigger in this case. So negative square root of 17, and then negative 17 over 4. And these should really all have commas in between there whenever you're ordering them. All right. If you need to pause this at any point, make sure you pause it, go back and rewind. All right, one more example before I give you a couple to try on your own. Okay. Again, I would advise that you pause the video and write down this problem and then complete it and then see if you're right. So negative square root of 16 is going to be negative 4. Negative 16 over 6 is going to be negative 2.6 repeating. Square root of 8 is going to be 2.828. 2.6 is already a decimal. And then negative square root of 10 is going to be negative 3.162. So these are all, there's only 2 positives in here, so we have to be careful. We want least to greatest. So all of my negatives are going to go first before my positive numbers. So I want the numbers that are furthest from 0 on the number line, or the opposite of positive whole numbers. So I know that negative 4, negative 2, and negative 3. Negative 4 is going to be, if it was positive, 4 would be bigger than both of those. So that means since they're negative, it's going to be the smallest one. So negative square root of 16. Then I know that negative 3.1 is further away than negative 2.6. So negative square root of 10. That leaves one other negative, so negative 16 over 6. And then on this one, we're going to look to the 6 and look to the 8. 6 is smaller than 8, so 2.6 is next. And square root of 8 is last. Make sure you write the original numbers whenever you are giving your final answer. All right, I'm going to give you 2 examples that I need you to do on your notes on your own, and then come and get it checked by me in order to get that last box signed off, okay? So go ahead and do these 2, okay? Make sure you write down the numbers very carefully, and then come and get it checked by me when you are done. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know.